So it's been brought to my attention that because I have so many new followers, a lot of you may not have any idea who I am really, what I'm doing on social media, and why I started, when I started. So I thought I'd just take a few minutes today to tell you about me. I'm 77, I'll be 78 next month, and I started doing this 6 years ago. Actually, it was pretty much a fluke. I was reading an article on influencers, and at that time I had never ever heard the word influencer. I had no idea what it was. So I started researching it and found out what it was, and then I started wondering, well, I wonder if there's any older women doing this. And realizing that most social media is followed by the younger generations, I really didn't think there would be. I have since found out there are some lovely ladies that are my age or older that are making great contributions on social media. But I decided I wanted to give it a try and just see what would happen. So I put an Instagram account up. And here's a funny story. I actually didn't want anybody to know that I was doing this because, at my age, it seemed a little weird to be putting your picture all over social media. So I decided I wanted to try it. I wanted to see what would happen, but I really didn't want everybody to know I was doing it. So I did it under my middle name, which is Leslie. My name is Candace Leslie. So I made an account, put it under my middle name, and just put up a couple of style things about dressing at an older age. And I got followers, and I was very excited. I was excited when I had 10 followers. So I kept doing it. And I really was hoping that, well, also because I owned a business at the time, and it just didn't seem like the two went together, being this business owner and then doing this also. So I kind of wanted to keep this separate. And that worked out for a while. Later, it came back to bite me because people were confused about my name. But anyway, that's how I got started. So I started putting things up about dressing at an older age and how to still have style at an older age. And I enjoyed doing that. But really, the important thing to me was maybe to be able to share my thoughts and feelings about aging. I just have always, and I don't know why, I've always had all these ideas in my head about how people age. And then about 32 years ago, I developed a senior housing community, and I owned it for 32 years. I just sold it a few years ago, actually just before I started doing this. But owning the senior housing community all those years gave me a real personal look into aging and how different people age so differently. So even though I've had this fascination since I was very young to understand aging, I really had more questions and some answers from watching all the people that moved in and out of my community all these years. And I wanted to share those thoughts with somebody, anybody that would listen. No, I just really wanted to share the thoughts with people on Instagram and see if anybody else had the same thoughts that I was having. And evidently they did, because people started following me, and I couldn't be happier. I'm absolutely thrilled that any of you would want to follow me, and so happy when I'm in some small way can make some kind of a difference on how people look at aging. My original reason for getting into this, I'd have to say, if I had to boil it down to one sentence, it would be to try to, in some small way, have the chance to change the dialogue related to aging. Because I've always felt that the way we look at aging is it just isn't right. Aging does not have to be a negative. I've never really understood why it was a negative. I am thoroughly enjoying getting older. So that was my reason for doing it, and I've loved doing it all these years, and I never expected it to grow to be on all the platforms that I'm on now. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Personally, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I lived in Buffalo until I went away to college, and then after that I lived Detroit, Michigan. I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. I lived in London, England. I lived in Virginia. I was a businesswoman, a land developer, and I'm also an artist. I am a watercolorist. I do people. I think most people think about watercolor being landscapes and things like that, but for me, I just loved making a realistic watercolor of someone, of people in a general scene, or a particular person, or someone with some special characteristics. So that is my hobby that I do when I have the time. I was doing more of it before I started doing all of this content for social media, but I still get some time to do it. And occasionally I do show my paintings, and I do have a website. If anybody's interested, you can ask me and you can go there and see my paintings. So I have 2 biological children, and I have 5 stepchildren, 11 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. So it's a real experience, and life has been a real experience, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. Any other questions that you'd like to ask me, please just put them down here in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And thank you, all of you who have been following me. I appreciate it so much. And I hope that I will, in some small way, have the chance to change the dialogue related to aging.